I don't know how many of you followed. Monsanto and Del Monte have just made an agreement on breeding fruits for more long-distance travel. I know Del Monte visited India 2 years ago and told our export agency for agriculture, your bananas are all wrong. We have 1,500 varieties of bananas. Most of them are eaten absolutely locally. The skins are delicate. You can't put them on a truck and ship them somewhere else, but they're brilliant to be eaten locally. Monsanto said your bananas are wrong because they can't be shipped long distance. So you take the genetic material from us and convert your banana economy into another monoculture. So logistics, the ability to put stuff on trucks and containers and send them thousands of miles away is becoming one more overriding concern. How it tastes doesn't matter. And that's what gave us that crazy flavor saver. And I thought it was dead, but they just resurrected it in India to say the reason we need genetic engineering is so there'll be tomatoes that never rot, and therefore farmers don't have to sell in distress. And they also said, and wouldn't it be nice that you don't have to go shopping for tomatoes every day? You can just have them for 6 months in your kitchen. And the University of Berkeley had this breeding program on the square tomato, genetically engineering the square tomato, because it would take less packing space. And the Japanese, of course, are working on the square melon. Now, squaring out and hardening up of life on this planet is the ultimate objective. But I thought food was about taste and quality and flavors and nutrition, and that's part of what we need to retrieve with the breeding, organic breeding for diversity. Breeding for diversity, that breeding has to be not just one singular level breeding for diversity. It has to be breeding for diversity of seed, diversity of agricultural systems, diversity of direct producer-consumer relationships, diversity of cultures, diversity of innovation. And with diversity is linked the freedom of our farmers to save seeds, freedom of farmers to breed new varieties, freedom from privatization and biopiracy, freedom of farmers to exchange and trade seeds, freedom to have access to open source seeds, freedom from genetic contamination, the freedom of seed to reproduce. I think that, in my view, is such an important issue. Just as misguided breeding that thought that toxics were the most important element of agriculture, and therefore breeding had to respond to toxics, and now genetic engineering as the next step of the toxic trail with herbicide resistance and Bt. I mean, what are the two things? Both are about more toxics in our food. They destroyed our food, but they've also destroyed seed. Because at least in Hindi, in Sanskrit, bija, the seed, means that from which life arises forever. The very meaning of seed is the holder of perennial evolution. And the idea that non-renewability has to be the trait, the idea that terminator technology has to be the next step in breeding is anti-breeding and the production of anti-seed. And I do think we need to now defend organic breeding and breeding for diversity as the only real breeding. That is why 25 years ago I started Navdanya to establish community seed banks to promote participatory breeding. And, without even farmers participating in making hybrids, just by care, by doing good organic farming and good selections, on the years when we've had the opportunity to actually monitor, we can get per season a 10% increase in the yield of individual crops. We also created the GMO-free movement. We created freedom villages, living democracy villages, which say if the government doesn't want to ban the stuff, we will. We won't allow it into our regions. And the three things these freedom villages refuse to admit are chemicals, GMOs, and patents. Now, on the patent issue, we've taken inspiration from Gandhi. 100 years ago, Gandhi wrote in a little book called the Hind Swaraj on freedom that as long as the myth exists that unjust laws must be obeyed, so long will slavery exist. For freedom, you must have the courage to not cooperate with unjust laws. And I believe patenting of seed is the ultimate of injustice. The seed was not an invention, therefore it should not be patented. It belongs to the commons, it's a community resource, therefore it cannot be privatized. Because it's a higher level duty, we have to say we will continue to save our seeds, improve our seeds, grow our seeds, and no law is high enough to overrule this ethical duty we have, this ecological duty we have to the earth and to future generations. The power of diversity is the power of democracy and freedom, of abundance and food for all. The power of diversity combines the intelligence of nature and human creativity. Its expression and experience is beauty and joy, as every one of you who participates in seed saving and organic farming knows. Thank you.